Hey everyone, it's Mike LaChance back with another video. I mentioned in my last video that now that we're getting closer to the election, I'm going to start adding more of these. And to the best of my ability, I'm going to try to add a video a day going forward, at least from now until the election. This doesn't have so much to do with the election. I mean, it does in a roundabout way. This has more to do with what has been imposed on the American people and what will continue to be imposed on the American people if Democrats stay in power. Now, last week, we learned that despite the fact that Nancy Pelosi supports harsh shutdown policies and wants to require face masks for all Americans at all times, she has no problem going to the hair salon with no mask when it suits her. Right? That was last week. Now, this week, we have another similar thing happening, and this is also in the San Francisco area. And this report comes to us from a sort of buddy of mine, Jazz Shaw, over at Hot Air. I shouldn't call him a buddy, although I have met him once. Very nice guy. And I share tweets with him on Twitter exchanges with him pretty frequently on Twitter. This report is the same thing that we heard from Nancy Pelosi last week. So, Jazz reports it's not just hair salons. San Francisco city gyms open to city workers, not the public. Now, if you watch the Tucker Carlson show, you probably are familiar. I realize it's a different state, but you're familiar with the gym owners in New Jersey who actually got arrested for defying Governor Phil Murphy's orders and opening their gym, defying New Jersey state lockdown orders. But now we find out that it's different for government workers. Jazz writes, Speaker Pelosi's Salon Gate fiasco has another scandal to keep it company these days. After San Fran Nan brought attention to all of the hair and nail salons that were still being kept from resuming normal operations while a favored few were able to get their hair styled, some San Francisco residents learned that there were gyms that were open for business. Great news, right? Well, not if you're a member of the public. All of those commercial gyms were still locked down, but certain municipal employees, in other words, government employees, have been able to hit the gym for months. When the owner of one gym and fitness center reached out to local police asking if they wanted to arrange private workout sessions at her facility, she was informed that they had no need for her generosity because the police gyms had been up and running the entire time. The only words she was able to muster at that point were, quote, shocking and infuriating. And Jazz points to this report from NBC News in the San Francisco area. I'll read some of this. San Francisco government buildings keep their gyms open, crush private gym owners. So, see, that's the problem here, is that government gyms are able to be open, but private gyms are not. And this is not a single example. This is part of a much larger problem that we're seeing all over the country with different industries, hair salons, gyms. This has even happened, by the way, with restaurants, because last week, in case you hadn't heard, the mayor of Philadelphia took a lot of heat because Philadelphia has a rule currently in place where restaurants can't have indoor dining guests. But the mayor of Philadelphia was caught on photo or video dining inside at a restaurant in Maryland. So, same type of thing. See, it's the rules that they want to impose on you, they're not even willing to live under themselves, is the problem. So anyway, let's read some of this report from NBC in the Bay Area. For months, the city of San Francisco health order has prevented local gyms from opening its doors, but some city-owned gyms have been back to open for months and are allowing city employees to use them, crushing private gym owners. It's shocking, it's infuriating, said Danielle Rabkin from CrossFit Golden Gate. She said she has done everything she can to keep her gym on Sutter Street alive. Even though they're getting exposed, there are no repercussions, no ramifications. It's shocking, she said. Rabkin even reached out to a couple of police officers. Okay, we already covered that. A text exchange appeared to show they did have access to the SFPD Northern District Police Station on Fillmore Street, and police said Thursday that safety and cleaning protocols, as well as occupancy limits, have been established in department gyms. Quote, it just demonstrates that there seems to be some kind of double standard between what city employees are allowed to do and what the residents of San Francisco are allowed to do, end quote, said Dave Cracker, owner of MX3 Fitness in the Castro. He said there is some silver lining to this discovery. What the city has unwillingly done is created this great case study that says that working out indoors is actually safe, said Cracker. So at this point, we're just demanding that they allow us to have the same workout privileges for the citizens of San Francisco that the employees of San Francisco have. And this is what everyone across the country should be demanding across the board, not just for gyms and restaurants either. I mean, in restaurants is going to be its own separate apocalypse, particularly in cities like New York and Boston and San Francisco, because it's September now, and within a matter of 5 to 8 weeks, outdoor dining is going to become an impossibility. So a lot of these restaurants are either going to have to be able to have indoor dining, or they're just not going to survive. I just recently saw a graphic somebody shared with me on Twitter of all of the restaurants in Boston that have already closed permanently because of the pandemic and the rules that go with the pandemic. And it's ridiculous how many of these restaurants have gone out of business. Some places that have been around for years, decades, have closed their doors permanently. But this goes to a wider problem. It's not just restaurants and gyms. It's everything. You know, we're told that we can't go to church, we can't go to funerals, yet then when a member of Congress passes away, what do we see? A church full of members of Congress at a funeral, doing exactly what we're told we can't do. You know, people have even tried to hold outdoor public religious services, and they get shut down, yet no one does anything when there's a protest. There's this double standard for left-wing protests that apparently supersede all the rules. And we see it with the media too, because the media will actually promote left-wing protests and talk about how great they are. If you spend any time on Twitter, you're well acquainted with this double standard, because the media will talk about these protests, and people at MSNBC will even seem to promote them positively. But then when the Republican National Convention happened, and you had people sitting on the White House lawn, the very same people on Twitter, these very same journalists, would start complaining. Well, they're not social distancing. These people aren't wearing masks. You know, this is a super spreader event. That's the term they love to use, super spreader. But of course, all of that goes right out the window at the drop of a hat when thousands of left-wingers decide that they're going to march in the street. So this is an ongoing problem. And there is only so long that people can put up with this. Because this isn't just about comfort. This isn't just about the convenience of being able to get a haircut. This is about people's lives. This is about people's businesses. This is about people being able to make a living, pay their rent, feed their families, pay their bills. And Democrats are playing games with us while they do whatever they want. They sit there and tell us, you must do this and you can't do that. You must do this and you can't do that. Then we see them in these news reports and they're doing the exact opposite. They're doing whatever they want. And guess what? If the Democrats win in November, consider this a preview, because this is what life is like under socialism. Do you think that if Bernie Sanders magically became the leader of the United States and we had the glorious socialist revolution, do you think that any of the people at the top would go without anything? Of course not. They'd be at the front of the line. They wouldn't go without food. They wouldn't go without health care. They wouldn't go without gasoline. They would still fly on private jets. They would still own private cars. They would still live in big private homes. They wouldn't go without heat. They wouldn't go without air conditioning. They wouldn't go without any of the things that they would demand the rest of the public go without. So consider this a preview. Consider this a preview, because if socialism ever takes root in the United States, this is what life will be like for the rest of your life. People at the top will get to do whatever they want and have whatever they want, while they tell you that you just have to go without for the good of everyone. That's the way it works. Consider this a preview. They don't care about you. They care about what they want, and they're going to get what they want, and they prove it over and over and over. That's all until next time.